thanks for watching. This video is all about becoming a mortgage advisor. I'm going to go through the ins and outs, the pros and cons of the mortgage industry, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think you should join the Mortgage Lab. If you're looking to join the industry, I really suggest you hunt around, find out what is available out there for everyone, and really weigh up your options. There's a large range of ways that mortgage advice companies remunerate their advisors, and it's worthwhile shopping around so that you can decide which option is best for you. You may know it as a mortgage broker, and technically the same thing. We tend to prefer the word mortgage advisor because it seems a little less transactional and a little more like we give advice rather than just sort of do the deal and move on. Also, technically, a broker actually takes the money from the client, which we don't do. So technically, the word broker is wrong. It's just that everyone in New Zealand knows us as mortgage brokers. So I'll probably refer to us as mortgage advisors throughout the video, but it will be the same thing as a mortgage broker. So a mortgage advisor is responsible for walking a client through the whole process of getting a mortgage. Now, that might be for someone who is buying their first home, upgrading their house, refinancing to a different bank, buying a first investment property, or buying multiple investment properties. We take care of presenting the application to the bank and making sure that the client knows the whole process throughout. We are paid by the banks for this service. Now, the reason the banks are okay with this is because we technically replace a branch staff member. So we do the job that a bank has to pay a desk for at a branch, has to pay rent for, power, training, all of that stuff. We replace that. And so the banks are actually quite happy to pay us for that. It requires less output from them. With our model, we don't charge clients any fees for working with them. We simply take that commission from the banks, and the service is free for our clients. Now, I happen to think that mortgage advice is the best business in the world. You turn up to your customer's house, you help them buy their home or get into a better financial position, and then you never have to charge them. You never have to invoice them for that work. You're self-employed, so you've got lots of flexibility. There's no late payers because the banks pay us on time every time. That's where the money is. So anyone who's run their own business before will know the hassle of chasing a 90-day overdue invoice. We don't have that. The banks pay us on time. There's very low ongoing costs to being a mortgage advisor. You need a car, a cell phone, and a laptop, and you need to buy people coffees. So that's about it, really. And finally, the setup costs are very low. There is an element of training that's required, but realistically, there's no large setup costs to the business. The journey that you go through with your clients is really enjoyable, particularly the first home buyers. They really come out at the other end loving the service that you've given them, and it's free for them, of course. So that's my pitch for joining the mortgage advice industry. Next, let's talk about who we're looking for at the Mortgage Lab. Our model is a commission-based model. Mortgage Lab splits the commission with the advisor, and so that requires a certain type of person. They need to be enthusiastic and looking for business. They need to be keen to network with other people, but importantly, they need to be high EQ. That means they need to have good empathy with their clients. We really want them to care for their clients and not be transactional. So if you love working with people, you're the kind of person we want to talk to. You don't necessarily have to have had experience in the industry before. You'll need to sit courses before you start, and there's ongoing training throughout the process. So it helps if you've had a mortgage before or been in the banking industry. We love that, of course, but it's not required. One thing that can't really be negotiated on is the ability to work full-time for the Mortgage Lab. Some people want to be a part-time mortgage advisor. Our experience is this doesn't work. Your clients will often ring you at the last minute and say, well, we want to go to an auction tomorrow, please help us get this property signed off. And if you have to say to them, well, today's not my mortgage day, I'm doing another job today, then they will miss that auction and the whole experience will be a lot worse for them. So you need to be available full-time in the mortgage industry. One thing we really want to see is your ability to network. Now, you don't have to have a large social media presence, But over the course of the first few months, we will build up that social media presence with you, particularly on LinkedIn, maybe on Facebook. We'll set up a Facebook business page, and you can choose whether you want to be on Instagram and Twitter in the future. But you need to be able to network, and by that I mean also going out and touching base with people who will refer you business, getting to know those centers of influences, and be really happy to go out and do that. This is not really a role that an introvert will enjoy. An extrovert who loves to go out and meet people, have coffee with people, will probably embrace this industry a lot better. Lastly, the most obvious things: you'll need a driver's license, a clean credit report, and you'll need to be a resident of New Zealand. So those three are non-negotiable, but most people who apply will fall into that category. Okay, the question we get asked most often is, how do mortgage advisors get paid? There are essentially two ways that the banks pay us. A couple of banks pay us just an upfront commission. These tend to be the higher end of the spectrum and are around about 0.8% of the mortgage. So if you arrange a mortgage for $1 million, you will be paid $8,000 in gross commission. The second way that a couple of banks can pay us is through a trail model. Now this is slightly lower in the beginning. So for $1 million of mortgage, you might get $4,500 of commission, but you get an ongoing trail payment. Now this means that every month you'll receive a smaller amount of commission, but it will continue while that customer is at that bank. So it can continue for years and years. This is one of the best reasons to become a mortgage advisor, is that you actually build up a passive income. Now you have to look after these clients and catch up with them regularly, but at the end of the day, you're getting paid a passive income every month for your book of clients. Typically, our advisors don't skew to one way or the other. They find the right bank for the right customer, but it's worth knowing that different banks pay in different ways. So the next question really is, how much can you make being a mortgage advisor? Typically, the answer that I've given is around $70,000 in the first year, $150,000 in the second year, and $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 ongoing. Obviously, as you build up your trail income, that grows and grows. But the honest truth is, I've seen a range of results. It all seems to come down to how well you network. Some advisors have earned $100,000 in their first year. Others have earned very little and boosted really strongly in their second year. It all comes down to your journey and how well you're set up. My suggestion is, if you have a strong network of friends who know, like, and trust you, this will be the best boost that you can have to get into this industry. How ready are your friends and family to refer you into your new business? Have you built up a LinkedIn connection? Have you got a couple of hundred people connected on LinkedIn? If not, it's okay. I would start adding them now on LinkedIn so that when you start your business, it won't seem like you're trying to get their business immediately. If you add them now and in a couple of months you become a mortgage advisor, it's a much cleaner way of getting their attention. But at the end of the day, it comes down to how well do you network. So that leads me on to my next question that I most often get: how do we find new clients? Now, Mortgage Lab doesn't promise to offer you leads. We do give our advisors leads and we get a ton of them. But I'd rather not promise you any leads and get you 5 a week than promise you 10 and only get you 5 a week. So we have a lot of marketing funnels. We work with the first home buyers group. We have our insurance leads. We work with One Roof and New Zealand Herald. And all of these get a ton of visitors to our website who become leads. But we don't promise any. We really want you to go out and work with your network to find leads. Other ways that our advisors get leads are working with their centers of influences. So that can be accountants, real estate agents, insurance advisors, lawyers, and lots of other professionals who will refer us business. The trick with that is to gain trust, make sure they're aware you're an expert, and they will refer to you. Our advisors also join business networking groups like BNI or TNG or Business Over Breakfast. There's a ton of them. These business groups are really good because you can join and you will be the only person in that category. So you'll be the only mortgage advisor in the group. Some of the business relationships I've got from 5-10 years ago have come about from these business networking groups. So I really recommend joining them if you can. And finally, as part of Mortgage Lab's service to their advisors, we run their social media and newsletter campaigns. So we'll set you up with a Facebook business page. We can monitor your LinkedIn for you, or email out to your clients on a regular basis so that you don't have to worry about that. You can just go about being a mortgage advisor. Okay, so that probably leads us on to the next question, which is why Mortgage Lab? Why not any of the competing companies that allow mortgage advisors into the industry? So as I mentioned, we work under a commission split arrangement. It's a 70-30 split where the advisors get 70% of the commission and Mortgage Lab gets 30%. Now with that 30%, we take all of the compliance and background stuff that you need to work on off your hands so that you can go out and be a mortgage advisor. Your time isn't well spent figuring out which dispute resolution service to go with, where your PI cover should be, all of that background stuff. Your time is best spent being out with your networks and helping your clients. That's the money maker. So for our 30%, we pay for PI cover, dispute resolution, the financial service providers register, the licensing that's coming into effect in 2021, your CRM and all of the software that's required around that, like your emails, for instance. We maintain the website, and as we've spoken about, the social media and email newsletters. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we do in the background, again, so your time is free. But a lot of companies offer that kind of split. We also do regular business mentoring. For new advisors, that tends to be weekly. For more experienced advisors, that tends to be a fortnightly sit down with a specific business mentor. We have a comprehensive intranet page which has all the information you need about the lenders and non-bank lenders. It also has a live feed of all the interest rates that the mortgage advisors are getting so that you know what everyone's getting in the market. Now there's a range of other stuff that we have to boost your productivity. We've got gamification badges, we've got activity sheets, and all of these things which are meant to get the best out of you possible. We don't run this as a dictatorship. You can use what you like and put aside what you don't like. So it's not a boss-employee relationship. It's a business and mentor relationship. And then finally, we've got a Slack channel using the Slack app. It's a little bit like WhatsApp or Messenger, where the whole company can chat about deals that they're struggling with and ways that they've found to fix those deals that other people have. So you get this group knowledge rather than being out on your own, where you may miss a deal just because you didn't know how to fix it. You've got that ability to talk to all the other advisors and find out a way to solve your clients' problems. Now this probably brings us back to the kind of person we're looking for. So while we want an enthusiastic business owner, we do want someone who is a team player. You need to be able to interact with other advisors and help them out so that they can help you. All right, if you're keen to keep going, now we need to know what you need. You will definitely need a car, cell phone, and a laptop, and you'll also need 6 months worth of cash savings while you grow your business. This is really important because you don't want to have that desperate look in your eye while you're meeting with clients, begging them to get that mortgage. You want to be able to give them good advice and let them follow their own journey. So 6 months savings is really important. Now the timeline for becoming a mortgage advisor. If you haven't done your core strand courses yet, you need to do the residential lending property strand and the core strand before March 2021. If you start before March 2021, you just need the residential lending strand. If you start after March 2021, you're going to need the core strand as well. Those courses can take a couple of weeks once you've done the assignments and they get marked. And then we need to submit the documentation to the banks to get your accreditation. That accreditation can take about 4 weeks, so the whole process takes 2 or 3 months to complete. While you're doing that, you want to be building up your network and letting people know about what you're going to be doing in the future. It's the time to get the business running so that once you've got those accreditations, you can hit the ground running really quickly. And so that's about it. So at this stage, if you're keen to chat, flick me an email on rupertg@mortgagelab.co.nz and we can catch up and just discuss about what the next stages are. We'll get to know each other, make sure we like each other, and go from there. Thanks for watching the video. Hope that's been helpful. Flick any questions through to me. Cheers.